As kind of the drivability of the car. We're still working some things out. We have like a test plan planned out with RCR with some different types of changes that we're trying to see what helps, what doesn't help, that type of thing. So I guess the only takeaway that I really have up to this point is that as I get to across the center of the corner, I feel like last year I could kind of like lean on the right rear tire a little more and like kind of yaw it out and like be able to pick up throttle and drive off the right rear. And so far in the test this year, as I pick up throttle, it just kind of gets the right rear out of the racetrack. I kind of lose lateral grip, and I just don't feel like I have that stability to kind of lean on the right rear tire. So I guess that's my biggest takeaway right now. But like I said, we're trying a lot of different things right now. There's a lot of stuff that we have on our test plan that we're just kind of work out.
How valuable is this day given how short of practice you're going to have throughout the entire season each week?
I mean, I think it's crucial just because, I mean, I know I ran full season last year and all, but we never had this opportunity like we have now where you can go have, 8 hours of practice or whatever it's going to be and really adjust on the car. You can try different things as a driver. You can, this racetrack in particular, I kind of struggle at. So, like, there's things that I've been trying as I go out on the racetrack and you get all the data to kind of go back and look at and see, all right, well, that lap I was driving in deeper, and that's kind of probably why I was getting really tight across the middle, or maybe that lap I shallowed up my entry, and that's why I got tight across the middle, or got loose on entry because I tried to lift early, or whatever the case may be. So there's just a lot of data that we can kind of go back and look at and just try to learn from, and I think that's going to make us better going into the season.
You think this data will serve you throughout the entire season?
I think some of it can apply to a lot of tracks. I think a lot of the mile-and-a-half tracks that we go to and those type of tracks, I think you can really take away a lot. But I also think you can take away even on the short tracks just because I think there's a lot of things you can do as a driver inside the race car to make your car go fast. So, there's just things that I've been trying to look at in the off season to see what I can do better at when my car's tight versus when my car's loose and those type of things. Like, what can I do as a driver to kind of, your car's not ever going to be perfect, or not always be perfect. Every now and then, once in a blue moon, you'll have like that really fast race car that you feel like anybody could jump in and go win with. But more times than not, you're not going to have the car that you 100% want. So what can you do as a driver to kind of make up that ground? And I think that this type of test can help you do that.
On the intermediate track front, it wasn't just you guys either. I felt like as an organization, you had a little bit more ground to make up on those types of tracks. What were the things that you guys were challenged by last year that you're hoping to overcome a little bit today?
Start of the season, we really struggled with being really loose on entry. Both cars, Sheldon and I both, seemed like anytime you turn off the wall, immediately you would get the rear out of the racetrack. So that was one of the things early in the season that we really worked toward to try to kind of perfect and just really work on, to be able to turn off the wall, be aggressive off the wall, not feel like you're going to, lose the back end of the car. And then from the time that you landed in the corner through the rest of the corner, my car was always really tight for whatever reason. So that's something that we've struggled with all throughout the season, was just being really tight under landing in the rest of the corner. So there's areas there today that we're working on and things that we're trying to accomplish today to see this works, this doesn't work, and then also going back to the data that we have today to see, like, all right, that lap I lifted early, is that going to help my tightness or hurt my tightness? Like, there's just a lot of things that we can kind of pull from on the data side of it to kind of see where the travels are and things like that, to kind of take forward going into the season.
Also, when you look at 2023, you're one of the few veteran drivers in this series coming back from last year. That's multiple wins. What expectations do you have for 2023 in that regard, at least?
Well, I always have pretty high expectations. I mean, even last year being a rookie, I was, my expectations was to win races and make it to the Final Four and have a shot at the championship. And I feel like this season, the goals really haven't changed any as far as I want to win races. I want to make it to the Final Four and, ultimately try to hoist the championship trophy, right? I mean, that's what everybody wants to do. So, but I mean, there's a lot of things that you got to do right throughout the season to get you there. I think one thing that I'm going to focus really hard on this year that I probably didn't focus enough on last year is the stage wins. I feel like we got stage points throughout the season, and we were always, up in points pretty well. But I just felt like stage win wise, we didn't get many stage wins at all. We only had a couple. So I think that's one area that I want to really hit hard, is just really focus really hard on those stage wins. I think that I can take you deep into the playoffs.
What is it about the super speedway races that allow you to have so much confidence and success?
I don't know, because when I came over to RCR, I was talking with Andy Street, my crew chief, and he was like, "Hey, are you excited about the super speedways? Because this is one, area that we feel like we're really strong at." I was like, "Man, I hate super speedway racing. Like, I despise it." And I don't know what it's been for whatever reason, but throughout the year last year, it kind of grown on me. I don't know if it's because we were running up front, we were contending for wins and things like that. But I actually am starting to enjoy the super speedways a lot more. But I really can't answer to why I feel like we can run up front each and every week. We have a really fast Chevrolet, but I can't really pinpoint, why that is that I can run up front, or, things like that. Or I just feel like I have a really good understanding of like when the runs are coming, when they're not, and when to make a big move, when not to. Because if you try to make a big move and it doesn't work, the next thing you know, you're running 30th. So just knowing when to make your passes, time your runs, that type of thing, I feel like I have a good understanding.
Going to Daytona, it's going to be, I imagine, you guys, the colleague cars. Do you guys have a plan for before the race, talking to people to work with them, or can you afford with that car, that package, to go to Daytona and not feel like you need a ton of alliances, even though the colleague guys have that big group of cars?
Well, it seems like last year, especially at the start of the season, we really talked about, all of us working together, colleague and RCR just trying to work together and stuff. And it seemed like Sheldon and I would work pretty good together, and the colleague cars, there were times that we worked good together, times that we didn't. But that's the name of the game. There's going to be times that, colleagues going to be really fast that weekend maybe, and maybe their three cars get hooked up together and they can go lead laps and run up front. And then there's going to be times that the RCR cars are going to be really fast and can run up front. So I think it depends a lot on, who has a fast race car. If you have a really fast race car, it doesn't matter, what team alliance it is, what manufacturer it is, they're going to want to work with you. And I think that's one of the benefits that I had last year, is we always had a really fast race car. So I felt like a lot of guys wanted to work with us. We had Riley Herbst working with us really well last year. There's a number of Toyotas that was working with us, that type of thing. And, and also the Chevrolets, obviously. So I felt like I had a good amount of friends out there actually last year that I could lean on and work with. But once you got inside the 10 laps, 5 laps, it's kind of every man for himself there. So you only work with people for so long.
Street racing is something I don't think you've done anything remotely like before. So how do you even go into that weekend with any sort of game plan?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question, because I think one of the biggest challenges that I'm going to face, and I feel like everybody else in NASCAR is going to face, is when you go to the street course. I feel like, on all these other racetracks, even road courses, you can kind of see around the corner. You can see what your exit's going to look like, things like that. Well, you're going to have walls on both sides, going around the racetrack. So it's you don't really see what's coming up next. So you almost have to paint a picture in your head of what each corner is going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of studying, looking, diagnosing the racetrack and really kind of mapping it out. The track walk, if we get to do the track walk and all, just really just kind of getting it mapped out in your head the best you can. And I think, for me, I'm going to have probably a map of the racetrack on my dashboard somewhere, just something to kind of help you out, because I think it's going to be really hard to kind of judge where you're at on the racetrack when there's walls all around you.
It's on iRacing, but is Chevy going to have a sim set up for that, or is it just
I haven't
purely
heard
iRacing?
for sure. I haven't heard for sure on that. I really hope that we do. I haven't done any of it yet, but it'd be really nice if we could do that. I think that would help out a lot.
Beard Motorsports has had some really good runs at Daytona in the past, and you're going to run the Daytona 500 for them. How excited are you for that opportunity? And do you have any other planned starts, maybe the Truck Series, anything like that, maybe with Spire? I know you ran with them last year.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the Cup races that I have this year, especially Daytona 500. It's always, as a little kid, you always dreamed to run in the Daytona 500. So to be able to run for Beard Motorsports is going to be really special. I think that they have a really good program over there, and I think that we can have a really fast Chevrolet. It's going to be just all about learning all day and being there at the end. And I feel like the super speedways have kind of fit my driving style within the last year or so. So I'm hoping that I can take some things that I've learned from this past season with RCR and apply them on the Cup side. But man, those Cup guys are so good. So I'm sure that there's things that I'm going to be learning throughout the race that hopefully I can kind of put in my memory bank, and it kind of pays forward going to the end of the season. But no, I mean, I think that it's going to be fun just having that experience. As far as truck series go, I'm wanting to run some truck races, but nothing's set in stone yet, so we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm hoping to run 4 or 5 races, though, hopefully. Just don't know where yet.
Noah seemed to really enjoy Linda Beard. Have you got a chance to really get to know her real well?
We've talked on the phone briefly. I've talked to her and then talked to Amy Beard, and they're great people. I can't wait to meet them in person.